So back on December 15th, 2025, EASA dropped a pretty critical airworthiness directive for the Airbus A350 fleet. We're talking about AD 2025-0283. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what this means for you, from the root cause all the way to the actions and deadlines you need to know.
All right, to make sense of this whole thing, we're going to tackle it in 5 simple parts. First, we'll dig into the safety risk itself. Then we'll figure out which aircraft are affected. After that, we'll walk through exactly what you need to do, look at the big picture impact, and wrap it all up with a clear summary of your obligations.
Okay, first things first. Let's get right to the heart of it. What is the specific problem that got this whole ad started in the first place?
Well, it all kicks off with something that sounds pretty simple. Some loose fasteners were found on the Nacelle Anti-Icing forward bulkheads. But here's the chain reaction. Those loose fasteners allow for vibration, and that vibration starts to stretch out the locating holes. This might not sound like a huge deal, but the consequence is serious. It reduces the performance of the anti-icing system.
And look, EASA is not messing around here. They lay it out in no uncertain terms. They've stated that if you lose that anti-icing protection on both engines without knowing it, well, it could result in a loss of control of the aeroplane. That's the ultimate nightmare scenario, and it's exactly why this directive is so urgent.
Okay, so now for the big question on everyone's mind. Does this actually affect your fleet? Let's get into the specifics of who this AD applies to. The short answer? The scope is wide. This AD applies to all Airbus A350-941 and A350-141 models, and I want to emphasize this. That's all manufacturer serial numbers. No one gets a pass here.
Now, this is where you really need to pay attention to the details. We're drilling down to specific part numbers on the engine air inlet cowls. For part number 351, 1500-505, it's easy. All serial numbers are affected. But for part number 352, 1500-503, you've got to get out your records and check them against this very specific list of serial numbers you see here.
To make things easier, EASA has split the fleet into 2 camps. It's pretty straightforward, really. You're in Group 1 if you have one of those affected parts installed on your aircraft. Those are the planes that need action. If you don't have an affected part, you're in Group 2. Simple, but it's a critical distinction for your planning.
Okay, so you've figured out if you're in Group 1. Now for the really crucial part. What exactly do you have to do, and more importantly, when does it need to be done by?
So if you've got a Group 1 aircraft, you're on the hook for a Special Detailed Inspection, or SDI. Now the timing here is super important, so listen up. The deadline is whichever of these 2 things happens first, either 78 months after March 20th, 2024, or 144 months since your plane's reference date. But there's a catch. The inspection is only for parts that have hit at least 2,000 flight cycles. So if you hit that deadline but your part is still under 2,000 cycles, you can defer it, but you absolutely must get it done in that tiny window between 2,000 and 250 cycles.
And I cannot stress this enough. This is a big one. If your inspection finds any problem, any elongated holes, any loose fasteners, that aircraft is grounded. It's a no-go for flight. You have to contact Collins Aerospace to get approved repair instructions before that plane flies again.
Now, besides the inspection itself, there are a few other key requirements you can't forget. First, reporting is mandatory. You have to send your inspection results to Collins Aerospace within 30 days, even if you found nothing at all. Second, you got to be careful with your parts inventory. If you install an affected part with less than 2,000 cycles on any A350, that plane instantly becomes a Group 1 aircraft and falls under this AD. And finally, some good news? You might get credit for work you've already done under previous service bulletins.
All right, we've been deep in the technical weeds. Let's cool back for a second and look at the big picture. How does all this work actually improve safety, and what does it all mean for the folks in management and planning?
This slide really nails the why behind all this work. It's a simple, powerful chain of logic. You've got the hazard on one end, that potential loss of control. The AD action, that SDI, is the direct countermeasure in the middle. And the outcome? Well, that's what we're all after. Reduced risk and making sure these aircraft are airworthy.
All right, for the planners and the managers in the room, here's your executive summary, the dashboard view, if you will. The entire A350, 941, and 1041 fleet is in scope. The risk of grounding an aircraft is high if you find something during that inspection. You're going to need to plan for downtime to get this work done. And the key thing driving your schedule will be that mix of aircraft age and the number of flight cycles on that specific part.
Okay, let's bring it all home. We're going to wrap this up by recapping the absolute must-knows, the key obligations for every single A350 operator out there. First up, who's on the hook?
every single operator of an A350 941 and 1041. You need to be paying extra close attention if you have those specific cowl part and serial numbers in your fleet.
Next, what's the job? The core task is to perform that special detailed inspection, the SDI, and then make sure you report all your findings back to Collins Aerospace.
And finally, the big one. When's the deadline? You have to meticulously track and comply with those deadlines, which remember are all based on that combination of aircraft age and part flight cycles.
Look, to get this done right and ensure you're fully compliant, your camo, planning, and maintenance teams all need to be on the same page. And just a final reminder, while we've given you a solid overview here, the official EASA document and the related service bulletins are the only true source of truth. Always refer to them.
Subscribe to Aeropoda YouTube channel